I can't believe it's like Thursday already. I don't know about you, but the weeks are flying by. I don't know what it is. Like Q1 just was like a lightning bolt gone, and now we're almost like, well, almost. I shouldn't. Geez, did I just totally skip past this month? We're only the 7th.
Yeah.
we're not. I'm thinking we're almost. We're almost.
It's the start of the
Lisa's coming
second
to us
quarter,
from
guys,
the
but don't
tubes
panic.
today.
Dan's already ending the second
I
quarter.
know. I'm already ending it. Lisa's coming to us from the tubes today. Nice,
Hey.
Lisa. He's switching up the old platforms.
Oh,
Look who decided to join us this morning.
What's up,
Steve.
guys? Sorry, I'm having all these technical issues,
Oh,
and
we had the same issues. No worries.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
Here
It's
we
funny.
are.
It's
Good morning.
2022. We're about to land people on Mars and live on Mars, but our computers need restarting in order for our stream to work for Restream. So that's awesome. That's super fantastic. Good to see computers haven't come a long way from when you had to kick it in order for it to work properly.
It's Bluetooth, Bluetooth. Like you think that Bluetooth would work by now, but still, 20 years later, we can't get Bluetooth to you're like looking at your 3 headsets. You're like, which one is the one? And then none of them work. And I'm one of those weirdos. I have to wear a headset because you can hear everybody else so much better. And I feel like when I just talk into a computer, I'm shouting. So my apologies. Good morning.
Hey, good morning, man.
It all comes with, look at this. Morning. Lisa's coming to us. Oh, Lisa's doing the tube and LinkedIn. Look at that. Got a LinkedIn user. Good morning. Daman, good morning. So today, what kind of mindset does it take to do multiple millions of dollars in business? Hundreds. That's what we're going to talk about. Welcome to the HPLS podcast. Live, relevant, and high performance information, conversations, and education weekly. As DJ and I grows up on the show here, we're doing wicked grammar this morning, DJ? Yeah, we're all grown up on the show. We're starting to enjoy Thursdays a lot more because Thursdays is kind of our personal professional development day. And Steve, we're super excited because we know we all grow into the people we want to become, and we grow into the quote unquote successes that we want to be. And if we're, that whole growth mindset comes part and parcel with gaining whatever that version of success is that we have. And today we're super interested in picking your brain about what kind of mindset it takes to, double, triple, quadruple, do hundreds of millions of dollars in business. And what's the ongoing progression and ongoing training, ongoing mental game that you play with yourself?
It's a balance of being obsessed, and I have to be careful with that one just because I know that in the past, right, with being a recovering addict, you have to be careful and cognizant of what you're choosing to be obsessed with, because it's easy to get your mind occupied on something other than the reality of how boring and mundane life can be. and I don't think life's boring at all, but you have to kind of choose to how to approach your day. So why do I get up at 3 a.m.? Because I'm up sooner than 99.9% of my competition. I've got 3 more hours than they do to get ready. And people go, well, that's not healthy. I go, okay, then it's not for you. So it's one of those things where I don't work longer to become more obsessed. It's this mindset. And then the tough part is this, and y'all know this, it's if you have a vision, you usually need other people to expand that, right? And now that obsession that you're obsessed with, they're not as obsessed with. And they shouldn't be, right? I mean, if you get 1 or 2 of them, you're like, you keep them close. And that's been the toughest part of it, is not seeing other people as charged about it as you. And I was thinking about this on the way in, guys, because it's it's interesting when you're an employer, right? Because no matter what the performance was, unless you're in a commission environment, every 2 weeks you pay them on time. You give them insurance on time. You give them this on time. You have to. It's legal. I found this out in New Zealand last night. You can't even pay a bill late, or it's a federal crime in business.
Oh, wow.
A federal crime to pay an invoice 1 day late.
No kidding.
So my big question on that right away is, so what's the payment terms on freight in New Zealand?
Yeah, right.
Yeah. Well, there's a lady looking to sell 7 tons of Manuka honey. I know that. That's what I learned last night. And
so, Steve, can I stop you there for 1 second?
Yeah,
because
of course.
Something you said is really touching a nerve. Mm-hmm. I'm an ex-addict. I was an alcoholic, and I am I touch something, I get addicted to it. I have what they call an addictive personality. And
Usually very
I got
successful
addicted.
people do.
Well, yeah, and I know exactly.
Yes, I agree.
What's that, DJ? Sorry.
I was going to say, I think most people do.
Well,
In a way.
I mean, I guess probably, but maybe addicted to the wrong things, right? Like if you might have an addictive personality to sit down and watch 5 hours worth of television because you say to yourself, I need to unwind after work and just release my brain. To me, I have like a couple of shows I watch. Like last night is my big TV night. It's Chicago night. So it's Chicago Med, Fire, and PD. I watch all three of them. I make sure they're taped so I don't have to watch commercials because I don't like. I typically don't have time. I usually work while I watch them. Yeah. So like I multitask and then, 99% of the time, like what just happened? What just happened? And my wife's like, why don't you just freaking watch the show? And then, but having that addictive personality and having, been through some major obstacles in life that would typically kill people. I've got a respect for that addictive personality. And sometimes that comes across way too heavy on people. How do you manage that portion of it? Because being obsessed, I love it. I'm totally in tune with your brother all the way. Because I think we need to be obsessed when we are going, and not in a bad way, like not to the point where it consumes and you don't spend time with family. Like, I mean, but obsessed in a love and passion for what we do. But how do you make that shift, or what do you see when you're in meetings or when you're speaking with employees or team members and you can see almost that like deer in a headlight, like glazed look in their eye? You're like, okay, I've lost them. Like what do you do to hone that part of your intuition?
Oh, before the answer, by the way, I can't watch it either unless it's a documentary because I feel like if I'm not learning, I'm wasting my time. And other people would say, well, you've got a problem. And I'm like, I guess my problem isn't your business. And I can't stand it when people look at people and say,
why don't you tell us what you really think, Steve? Why don't we just
work-life balance is different for everybody. So don't tell me how to do mine. I don't tell you how to do yours.
Thank you.
And you're so right, Steve. And when you said life is boring before, and I know I'm jumping in, but you said life is boring. And I think to your point with that, to people like us, to people wanting to just cannot settle, cannot be in that box, fit in that box. Life does seem boring to other people. That normal life or that normal average way of life is a regular routine of the network shows, the Netflix series, those things. But and to your point, Dan, how do you, Steve, when you see that gloss over and those people that are with you and you want them riding with you and being as obsessed as you are? Yeah.
But what also, DJ, I think there's a flip side to it is a lot of people have and I don't mean to generalize everyone watching and listening, but there's a reason why under 2% of the population make 98% of the money quoted or 98% of the success, right? Like there's a reason these statistics exist. And I also see that a lot of, and I could just speak for myself when walking through the companies I've been at, working with companies where people are like, I want this, I want this, I want this. Okay, what are you going to invest? Oh, I have to invest something like time, energy, effort, maybe a little money. Oh, I can't just like go on Instagram and get it. Like it doesn't just work like that. And it's like, no, you can get the dopamine drip. You can get that positivity and that, oh my God, that was so good just by going to YouTube. But the bigger part of it, and we've talked about this 1,000 times on the show, it's the application of the information. And it's taking that information and taking it to the next level in the application, the action piece that you're going to do. And, going back to the original question is, we can get pretty, I'm going to say passionate, because I think, especially for the three of us, when we're talking about what we love, we get very passionate. Yesterday I got very passionate on the show when somebody brought up brokers trying to screw carriers again because rates are starting to drop. But I'm passionate about it because I think it's destroying our industry. And I think when we step outside that, or when we deliver our passion too intensely, we can lose people, I guess is where I'm going with that, Steve.
Yeah. Well, that's okay. I think it's there's well, it's like I used to care so much more, and being a new founder like a year ago, if you'd have seen me, it was all about culture, paying people the right way. And then you find out the people you pay the most perform the least, and the people you pay the least perform the most. And then you start to go, well, it ain't about money. although everybody has self-worth, don't tie your self-worth to what someone pays you. It has nothing to do with it. Like go look in the mirror. That's your self-worth. Like an employer does not define your self-worth, number one. And it can't. I used to be wrapped up in that, right? And when it was somebody else's something, even a major company, like I had no identity. So I figured out I couldn't get obsessed about somebody else's business because I looked and I said, you guys are doing it all fucking wrong. Like, and they're not, because they're very successful, right? So I used to have this jaded thing, but that's that restless, irritable, and discontent, right, Dan? We know that saying of like, yes, you can be obsessed because when things don't go your way, you can be irritable and discontent. So I've just worked to not be irritable, not be discontent with things. And what they don't need to see is like, I'm going to pay them every 2 weeks. And if they don't do their job, I will fire them eventually, right? But we're going to give them every opportunity they can on the way out to prove themselves that they can be coached and turn around. Now, I think for me, like I really want to change the world of sales. Do I think I'm great? No. Do I show up on social media a lot? Yeah. Why? Because we're pushing a fucking brand, man. Like this is personal branding and it works. And I don't spend time on Instagram flipping through, right? Because I don't make money doing it. And I don't make money on TikTok. So I have no interest in watching TikTok videos. I mean, I flip around for a couple of minutes, but I'm like, I can't waste my time on that because I'm going down a rabbit hole that makes me no money. Yes. And so why do I spend 3 to 4 hours a day on LinkedIn? Because I meet a lot of great people. Money pours out the other end. And so that's where I'll invest my time. So that's why I'm obsessed with the idea of LinkedIn. Will it change in a year or two? Very likely, yes. And now what you'll see next week is we're going to make a big announcement. And that announcement will shake up the sales world. I mean, we're talking about 2,000-3,000 people in this global initiative to change sales. And it's not a side project. This is the real deal. And so where we're headed is complete obsession. And if you are obsessed, get on board. So we've had to hyper define that we are an obsessed company. So if you're not, do not work here. Like, so we've had to define that to sort of say, we're not going to settle. Because when we do settle, it's not good for them. It's not good for us. It's not good for anybody. Nobody gets what they want, right? So I've learned that at least.
Yeah, one of my mentors once said, Dan, be a creator, not a consumer.
Yeah.
Right. Like create content, don't consume it, because when you consume it, you go down this rabbit hole if you're on a mission, and creating it, interacting with other people's content is good, but there's a difference between interacting and consuming, like spending 4 hours just reading people's posts, watching. It's zero. It adds zero to you're right. Zero to your bottom line. You'll see these waves, right? Like if you looked at LinkedIn 2 years ago, 3 years ago, one post would get 15,000 views, no matter what. It would get, 5,000, 6,000 likes, because the algorithm, there wasn't enough content. So many people were on it, not enough content, kind of like the old school Facebook back in 2005 or 6 or whatever it was. And nowadays, you got to now, before 3.5 years ago, you never had to mention anyone in a post. Like, now it's like, if you don't mention somebody in a post, and people in your community, if you look on the side, if you pull up your messages on the side, all those little green dots are people that are online right now. And if you post, and a lot of people see it online, and a lot of people start liking it and saying, hey, great post, then obviously the algorithms will pick it up and it'll start sending it. But I mean, a buddy of mine, Nick, he was like massively in tune with that. And he would put a post up and he'd see in like 6 minutes, if it wasn't, he'd pull it down. It's okay, pull it down. And he'd wait until his green, and he'd put it up, and he was getting consistent 20, 30, 40,000, hits. And he was like almost going viral every time, but he had this plan that he worked. And again, there's something about people seeing your posts, but then again, there's something about helping them achieve what they're looking to achieve, right? So again, you go from that dopamine drip. Oh, great post. Yeah, that makes so much sense. I'm going to go back and go into my, zombie style sales process, and it's not going to do anything for you in the end. It gives you that dopamine drip. It gives you that little, great. We're in tune. We're good. Yeah. And then you go back to exactly what you were doing. It's crazy. So how did you, when you started looking at this mindset shift, share with the audience some tools, some strategies that you would use to kind of stay in that zone? And Daman says it right. He says, people's mind wants it, but the body just doesn't seem to follow.
Everybody. If I could count the amount of people, like everybody's in day one, right? And so like 100%. What changes between day 1 and day 10 and day 100? And for me, it has been at least 2 years of just doing the same thing every day. And so that sort of consistency has allowed me to do things like I know 4 things I'm going to do every day. I'm going to play Call of Duty on mobile because I'm in the top 3% in the world, and I'm not going to give up my hold. And it's meditation for me. Like it, wrong, right, or indifferent. Like that allows my mind to relax. And then I drink a pot of coffee, and it's kind of this meditative thing. And so for me, like those 2 things set it up. And during the day, I have to manage my time and my calendar wisely, because I know that at least for me, I want to interact with 25% of my team every day, like 1-to-1. So I know every day there's 15 people that I got to reach out to and check in on. And not just, hey, how you doing? It's like, hey, I'm seeing this happen. How can I help you? I have an idea, but I want to hear yours first. And so you figure out eventually, if you employ a lot of people, you have to concentrate on the 20% are producing 80. Don't worry about the 80. They're going to do whatever they want every day, no matter what, right? They're worried. They're thinking about something else. And today, like, we're so encouraged to side hustle. By the way, interesting article. I'll forward it on. But like this idea that we went through the Great Resignation isn't true. The data, imagine that with the media. The data just had working moms shifting work. That was the major indicator, because they said, you know what, screw this. I want to be home more, because I was just home and I realized that's not a bad idea. And I can work different jobs and you won't let me, so see you later. The data says there was no Great Resignation. There was a great shift. And to me,
we talked about that for months with Dean Crook.
Yeah,
Dean was saying it's people that retooled. Like there's people aren't resigning. People aren't sitting at homes I mean, don't get me wrong. There are some that were collecting the government stuff, but for months, I mean, probably 6 months now, when Dean's been on the show, he's been going, no, it's a retooling. People that used to be in bars are now no longer in bars. They're now doing something else. And so this is the great shift in the economy as to where people are, because, like, I'll tell you, my daughter, she's looking for a summer job. She's like, I really think I want to go into bartending because there's so many tips in it. I said, yeah, listen, it's great. But again, something happens, we're going into, like, I don't know, the 17th wave or something crazy right now or something. Like, I'm like, honey, something happens, you're first in, you're going to be first out, or last in, you're going to be first out for starters. I said, but if it shuts down, now you're all of a sudden like instantly out. Canadian government's no longer doing the COVID relief and all that. I said, like, now you're on unemployment based on how much you've worked. Like, it just doesn't, I understand it from a monetary point of view, because, like, I mean, listen, I grew up in the bars before I started in transportation, and I was a busboy. And just as a busboy, I mean, I'd walk out of there with $300 tips in a night as a busboy. Like, I wasn't even old enough to serve drinks, but I was waiting tables and I was making $300 cash. I was like, are you crazy? Like, oh yeah, I'll do this 6 days a week.
Sick
for
money.
Sure.
Is it like a 16-year-old?
I was 16. I was 15 and 16 working in bars in Montreal, or restaurants in Montreal, as a busboy. And I still remember Clint at Que Sera. It was a restaurant during the day and a bar at night. It was a higher end restaurant. And on like Sunday brunch, like, unreal the amount of money I would make. I'd walk out of there on Sunday brunch working a 5-hour shift, making $400 cash. I mean, I think my wage was like $6.50 an hour, because it was like, it's that industry here in Canada is below minimum wage, but there's tons of money to be made. But it's the longevity, and you're right. I think mothers, parents, people in general are like, hold on, I could do this from home and like have a 10-foot commute. That's pretty cool. Now, also, from an employer perspective, there's also proven stats that your team actually works longer when they work from home.
Oh God, yeah. I mean, there's
because you never leave work now. You're never leaving where your work is. That's the thing. But can we go back? Put up Damon's thing, because I want to ask you this. So he talks about the people's minds, and I'm very big on, especially now, mind and heart. And I think our passion and where to that point, and tell me if you agree with this, Steve, or not, but you can really, when you start to focus in on when people are laser on the ship with you, or that obsession feeling that you're talking about, it's because it's more down here in your passion and your heart of what's pushing you. And those people around you, they're thinking more with the dollar signs of their brain than with their heart. And that's where the disassociation is. That's just my opinion. But
I think the work has to matter to them. And if you can figure out what makes them tick, sometimes you need people to encourage them. You need to go side hustle and do what you love for 10 hours a week, so you can appreciate this, or so you can show up and still have your cup filled, right? I mean, everybody's side hustling now, and I think it's good and it's bad. Like, if you're side hustling, it should be completely okay. Your employer shouldn't care unless your employment contract is not to. I think that's a big deal. And I think also that side hustling allows people to get a release that they can't get at work, right? And a lot of people in B2B especially, I'm a firm believer, that they don't really know why they're doing it. They think it's easy, they get the freedom, but they can't manage their schedule. And so what they can do in 8 hours in a B2B, they put in like 2 hours of work. And where they could go in a factory and work for 8 hours and be sweating and dripping and show up and go home and sleep for 10 hours because they're so tired, and be more fulfilled because they didn't realize that they enjoy that work. Their brain enjoys being occupied, right? They don't know what to do. They can't be proactive. They're reactive. This isn't the job for reactive people. Yes. And so because there's such a need in B2B sales, I mean, think about how many people get hired who not only don't achieve an ROI, but the company loses 6 figures on them because of their lack of productivity, their experience with the customers. I mean, we had to let a few people go recently because they had continually had a customer experience expectation delivered that was a significantly less than what we wanted, and we were starting to potentially lose customers. We gave them a chance, and I'm not patient enough for someone's career to screw something up over and over again enough to say, you know what, that's okay. You'll develop in time. Just keep screwing up the business. You're a good person. Like, it's work, right? So that's where I say work-life balance. Like, you have to separate the two. Your worth is not tied to whether or not I think you're doing a good job here. I'll think you're doing a good job if you're doing a good job. That's it. Why would any founder take someone who's doing the work and helping them ever want to let them go? Doesn't make sense.
And then there's also that perspective where people think they're doing a good job, and in their books it's a good job, but in our books it's not.
Expectations are everything, right? Your expectations, like going back to the obsession thing, like you and I and DJ, we could go home and become obsessed about something and knock out things that don't matter to other people. They want to go home and watch TV, sit with their kids every night, and that's great. I want to do that too. I have 4 kids, right? And last night I was sitting there. My wife is out in California with work. My 3 kids are at their grandma's. I have 4 kids, three who live with us full time. But I was just like, what do I even do? It's quiet in here. Nobody's wanting my attention, and it's the first time it's happened in 2 years. I didn't know what to do. I was like, this is what normal people do, like, because it felt okay. But would I want to do it 3 nights in a row? No way.
Yeah.
Like I felt like I was like in Home Alone or something. Like I was just like, man, I'm gonna play like Fortnite and mess the bedroom up just for fun. But it doesn't.
But it's crazy how you then, like, that is part of your almost daily serenity. It's hearing those footsteps. You know, for us, when our son left for college, it was like a huge adjustment. And then our daughter left for college, and it's a huge adjustment. And I know it might sound crazy, but even when we send the dog to the groomers and you don't hear the pitter patter of their steps, it's like for 4 hours, it's an adjustment. Like I don't know how many times I've been in here working. I'm like, what the hell are they up to? They're at the groomer, but I'm like, it's so quiet. What are they up to? Because they got to be up to something. They're chewing something. They're doing something, and they're not even here. It's like we get so used to that environment that we're in. I hear you. I remember one of the first times when my wife and kids decided to go somewhere for the day, and I'm like, no, I'm just going to stay here and work. And it's like, it's almost like the second they leave, you're like, is this what quiet seems like? Because our quiet with little kids is not necessarily like that quiet. Right?
Yes, sir. Always I can vouch for that. I have a 5-year-old and a 2-year-old. They're being as quiet.
We hear them sometimes in DJ, and I'll hear the kids in DJ's background, and DJ doesn't even flinch because that's like white noise to him now. I'm like, what was that?
That's as quiet as can be.
It's like, is he getting surgery with a spoon over there, or what? What's going on? What's that, Steve?
Does DJ wake up and wake his kids up and just smile like that? He's like, good morning.
He probably does.
I probably do, and they probably hate it, just like everybody.
I tell everybody about you. I'm like, he's the happiest guy I've ever met. He's the happiest.
Yes.
Right. You have to be.
He is. Yeah. Daman says 100% DJ, you got to cancel people, and psychology becomes so important, especially with people who consume so much social media. They have a false sense of reality. Hence the check-ins become more important with staff. That's why personal development becomes so important with staff, etc. Yeah. And Lisa says she's in the same boat. Absolutely. Lisa's got a very young family as well.
Yeah.
And
Lisa's
it's crazy. It's crazy.
Too.
Yeah.
Well,
and you know, those,
they balance us out, right? I mean, they also support the hell out of us, and so that becomes so critical because they've kind of sat there and watched us and said, I support you doing this for 12 hours a day. Right.
Mm-hmm. And there's a flip side of this that we have not touched on, and that's celebrating successes. I don't know about you guys, but my obsession for the things I'm involved in, my obsession for helping 10,000 sales reps generate $1 million GP in under 12 months, my obsession for our new company, my obsession for everything. I don't stop and honor where I came from and where I'm going. And I don't honor this. I really don't. It's just like
it feels like another notch. No, I gotta go more. I gotta go more.
And we're doing a 21-day go for no challenge, and we were on our Monday call, which DJ missed. We were on our Monday call, and Andrea Walt said, "Okay, what's the big thing that you learned?" And the big thing for me, week 1, the big eye opener was when you're trying to keep track of your no's, how many times you've been told no, you start to pay more attention to your yeses. And I could not believe how much, and again, no ego or anything involved. I couldn't believe how much I got done in a day. That was massive traction towards my big goals, my big dreams, and my big ambitions. And that for me was a real eye-opening experience. Like I remember going to bed Monday night of the first Monday of the challenge, and I had a smile like 4 times the size of DJ's, if you can imagine. Like it was almost like Joker on steroids, and listen, I couldn't get it off my face.
I'll tell you, Dan, to your point, the going for no, the first day of the challenge, I didn't get it. Was like I wasn't getting a no, and it was like I was wanting the no. Like, where are you? Come on, no. But yeah, everything was just.
But then like that flip side of watching all of these yeses, it's like, holy crap! Like and it was more along the lines of, because how many of us, right, have like put in a real day's effort, and at the end of the day, it's like I would been beat up, spit out, chewed up, like, and I can't even count how many times I've left the office feeling like that.
Oh yeah, deflated.
But have you really? And that was what my big realization was, is you know what? We need to celebrate the wins. We need to celebrate, like there was a process over the last couple of weeks where I've been glued to my laptop almost until midnight every night, wireframing things and getting things ready for the next phase. And I never even said, you know what, honey, I finished the wireframe. Let's go out for dinner and celebrate. Never. It was like, okay, I'm done. Now I got to move on to this. And I'm still doing it. And I know I need to pay more attention to it. And I'm sure 99.99% of you out there watching and listening to this have to do the same, where you have to celebrate those wins. You have to celebrate that success, that victory, as small as it may be. Did it help you step up towards your goal?
Even if you just busted your ass for the day, you made your 150, 200 calls, you sent the emails, you did everything. And at the end of the day, you got shit. Well, remember here in your heart and be proud, and that you sat there and you busted it out.
But it's hard, DJ.
It is. It's very hard.
And that's what I mean. It's like we move on to the next thing, because it's like, okay, there's the one task I got complete. Now we got to do the next task. Now we got to do, you know what I mean? And it's like, it's, I get joy with my calendar filled. I love it. Don't get me wrong. But it's like, also so maybe Steve, do you celebrate those successes? Like, do you have a process where you say, okay, listen, like I achieved this, let's do something. And even if it's something like go play Call of Duty for an hour, celebrate during the day. Like, do you have something that you do that maybe even DJ and I can glean and use for ourselves?
Well, I'm in the boat with you. So I'll announce it here for the first time. We're going through a merger and acquisition right now. And that's a big deal for us, right? And we'll announce it next week. So we're merging with a SaaS company.
Nice.
And I think that people are going to like what they see, right? And so when that completed and I signed the thing about a month ago, my wife said, "Are you going to celebrate?" And I was like, "What do you mean?" And she's like, "Well, this is a big deal." And I'm like, "I don't have time for that." Like, it didn't even cross my mind. Like, so. I'm not sure I'm the guy who you want to get advice from, because
you get your wife on. Can you get your wife on here? Because your wife seems, our wives know. I'm sorry, our wives are way smarter than we are, gents. I'm telling you right now.
They know, but I'm just like, hey, we got some more work to do. It's going to be changing up here, and I'm just like, focused on it.
There it is. There it is.
Right? How crazy is that? You just signed probably the biggest deal of your life, and you're like, okay, perfect. And the ink's not even dry yet, and you're like, okay,
what's next?
Like, Jim Carrey in Bruce Almighty, where he's just typing away, right?
Which is right here.
Most people would, right? I mean, I think like the natural instinct is like, hey, and you see all the funding rounds happen on LinkedIn and people go, yay. And I'm just like, hey, fucking congratulations. You just got like a $10 million loan and you're going to be under extreme pressure and you're going to hate your life probably for the next 6 months. But hey, congratulations, right? Go blow some money. And I see those announcements coming. I'm like, I think that's a reason to celebrate, right? Any company that gets some cash to burn that somebody else is like, sign me up, man. Like, because when it's your own cash, and going back to your question earlier, is you have to separate that feeling, because paying somebody for working when you know that they didn't do shit, like you have to, right? But they don't have to show up and work for you. And when you let them go, they get upset, and you go, well, there's a simple agreement here that says like, we have a mutual agreement that you show up and do the job you said you would, and I pay you like I said I would. Why am I the only one upholding my end of the bargain? Because I have to? No, I don't. I don't have to. South Dakota's an at-will state. Now, do I want to keep you on board and develop you? Yeah, but if you have like 6 jobs and you're trying to like get 6 full-time incomes at the same time because you're trying to shake the system up and it's fucking painfully obvious, like, yeah, we're going to let you go. Like, so it's interesting because you have to release yourself from what other people expect in that mutual agreement. You have to pay them regardless, and you have to just keep trudging forward. I say, if you have 20% of the people around you, they will produce or help you produce 80% of your income. So instead of thinking about your 20% and 80%, think about, I want the people around me, and identify the 20% around me that I'm never going to let down and they won't let me down. Everybody else, I could take or leave. They could take or leave me too, so fuck it. Like, why do I have to love everybody when they fucking talk shit about me every day? It's okay. Like, we don't have to love each other. We don't have to be a family. We're here to work. The 20% who are around me, they're fucking family. And do I have favorites? Yeah, I do. It's the people who work the hardest. Like, this is no secret. Like, come on, guys. This is not 3rd grade. Yeah. This is, we are grown adults. We're not wearing diapers. Like, I
hold on. Do you mean there's no 7th place trophy?
Well, there's a whole
participation award.
I'm like a liberal thinker. I'm not going to say I'm a liberal, but I'm a liberal thinker. So it pains me to. My wife said to me the other day, she said, "Man, you sound like a different person after having a company for a year." And I said, "Yeah." I said, when you go through it, you see things that you can lose sleep over, right? I mean, but you have to, at the end of the day, be willing to just accept that I just need 20%. Like, you need your DJs. Like, if you get a DJ plus 5 other people, like, you're set.
Hey, well, thank you.
I mean, you need someone positive. You need someone to hold you accountable. You need people to put you in check. Like people think you want people who are like, you want yes men. No, I want people who hold my feet to the fucking fire. I want people who say, you shouldn't have said that. That was a dick move. Those are the people I want around me, not the people who never say anything. Yeah. Like, if you're hiding and not talking to people every day and you're wondering whether or not you have a future, you probably don't.
Tell me I suck. That's what I want the people around me. Tell me I suck. Tell me I'm doing shitty. Yeah. Tell me. Yeah.
It's just, how do we get better? You need your people to hold you accountable. And Dan, I know you surround yourself with those people, although we're trying to do all these great things. At the end of the day, there's a lot of people out there that don't like us, and that's okay. Like,
well, yeah, DJ and I were talking about that before we actually jumped on, about the whole, people don't like us and certain people. But, again, I just don't think they're in tune with the message.
We got to go over a little bit. So I seen a post, Steve, and I seen where they were coming after you, and it was almost Grant Cardone style. And I was like, yes, he's like at Grant level. Like, these people are hating on him, and I loved it. You were like,
that was the one about learning in your 20s and then like 30s and 40s. I got roasted on that one, and I was like, they're just like, no, you should make money because of the 20% compounding interest. I'm like, well, yeah, that's like a financial way to look at it. So yes, if you're looking at compounding interest, you should buy a 100-unit apartment complex when you're 18. You'll do great. Like, but if you really want to look at it, like, it's just whatever. Like, it's that post got 500,000 views, and it was, I don't know why it was controversial, but I'm glad it was, because I'm a black and white guy. I don't like gray. And I'm saying, based on my experience, I wish I would have, in my 20s, surrounded myself with the people I met in my 40s, because I would have made
100%. Because education and learning bring you to the level you are. You cannot succeed. You cannot grow anything until you learn. And they go hand in hand, like up and down, like left and right. There wouldn't be one without the other. You cannot achieve anything in life. You learn into the person you want to be.
And Yeah, he was on that post. I seen him, and he talked about the 20s. But yeah, I agree completely.
You cannot get anywhere in life unless you learn into it. It's simple. It is a very, very simple thing. Like every person that has succeeded tremendously.
The game of life is literally like
born knowing how to run PayPal or how to build Tesla or how to build SpaceX. He learned into it through failures, through this, through that, through successes, through learning through success, through learning through failure. Like he learned. He just decided that he's going to fail more than anyone else, and he'll be successful doing it. Like it's the method is simple. Again, it goes back to the beginning of our conversation. What are you going to invest? What are you going to invest in yourself, in your future, in your family's future, and in your legacy? Those are the key things to ask yourself. What am I investing today? Am I going to become better than I was yesterday? Am I going to make today so good that yesterday's jealous?
And do you have the 20% around you that are going to push you and keep pushing?
Well, you got 20% of people around you are Clydesdales. The rest are donkeys.
Yeah.
Well,
and that's what David Long says in his book, Built to Last. Right? Like Built to Lead. Yes, David Long, awesome. And you know what? I'm going to actually get a hold of David because we got to have him on. Built to Lead. David says, like, if you expect to have 100% of Clydesdales around you, you're dead in the water. You're going to have if you have 40% Clydesdales pulling the 60% of donkeys, you're freaking golden in business. Golden. Right? But it's true. Like those superstars around you are the Clydesdales that are pulling the donkeys. You go into any corporation, especially in logistics, and you see these people doing millions of dollars a year in GP. They're paying for the people that are losing money. Yes. They're paying for them so your company's overall right. But it's not that, you can't take a donkey and turn them into a Clydesdale, but they have to want to be a Clydesdale.
They have to want it. They have to want it, though. They have to want to hear first.
And you have to get obsessive.
So NFL players, guys, so this is the thing. We talk about work-life balance. Do you ever go watch an NFL game? Like everybody on Sunday, the biggest sport in the fucking world, right? We pay plenty of money for them, for the experience, right? But nobody goes, I wish Adrian Peterson had better work-life balance. They say, that motherfucker, he gets injured, they hate him. They go, that son of a bitch. Like, he better make my Sunday meaningful. Like, why do we have to look to other people to make us happy? Like, why do I need an NFL running back to make my Monday happen or not? Like, I stopped gambling online. Like, I never had a gambling problem. I had other problems, right? But I would play like FanDuel, and I was like, why am I putting $1 on something that I can't control? And sitting there till 10 p.m. being like, come on. Like, I can't do that. Like, I can't depend on other people. I need to take that fucking bull by the horns and steer that fucking ox to the ground. Like, that's what I'm going to do. And I'm going to take the next ox and fucking tear his horns off. And then I'm going to just get a flamethrower and try and burn them all. Like, I'm not going back.
He just went Conan on our ass. You hear that? He went Conan the Barbarian there for a second. Whoa.
Well, there's people out there, and in business, like whether it's like someone who doesn't pay.
I agree, Steve.
So you're just like, fuck you. I need you. I can do without you. And you have to start getting so quick with decision making, and gut instinct is a thing. You have to get your gut and read it and go, am I feeling the right thing? And you look at that 20% and they go, yeah, I think so. Or no, I don't. And then you have to trust them enough to say, you're right, I'm wrong, because you need the optics around you. You can't see everything. You need people around you to make decisions and embolden them to make decisions, because we can't make them all. And we shouldn't be making them all because we make bad decisions. We're very emotional. Look at Antoine. What's up?
Damn! That was a Friday, right? Damn!
Well, Grant Cardone. Okay, so Grant Cardone, he runs a pretty big enterprise, right? Yes, people hate Grant Cardone. Why?
They do.
Well, because he doesn't care what you think about him, and he takes commission-only reps. There was a kid in Sioux Falls, South Dakota, and he was not that good at his job. He went down, drove a car to interview for Grant Cardone, got hired. It's commission only, right? Made his cold calls, did the thing. Went on to be the #1 person in Grant Cardone's company the next year, right? Made $1 million and then some. Then essentially resigned and moved to Mexico because he's like, that's what I wanted. I just wanted 1 year where I could go crush it and prove that I could do it on a system that Grant Cardone's put in place. And those people cold call people to buy a $40,000 personal development training course where you don't even get to meet Grant Cardone. You take one of his coaches, and that's real shit. Like, if you can close 40K over the phone over and over again, you really got to close 2 deals a month, right? To get your $1 million in sales on an 85% margin deal. It's all people, right? Sir. And he doesn't even buy them systems. They call on their cell phone. Like, Grant Cardone isn't using any tech. Like he's got people dialing on their cell phones with a paper fucking list. And it's wild to me because those people feel emboldened. Grant Cardone has changed their life. So they go to work for him so then they can change their own life.
Yes.
And that to me is like, why do we hate on that? Like we just hate on success because we go, they can't be doing it. That can't be right. They have to be lying. They have to be a bad person because they want to make money. I mean, money's important, right?
I think
currency.
Zig Ziglar said, money's not important. It's just as important as air. And you know, and here's the thing, right? A lot of people say, money is not important. I want a work-life balance. I want this and that. But I do believe money is important because you want comforts in life. You know, you want to be able to say, okay, I could take a week off of work or a couple of days off of work to go on vacation and not worry about paying bills, because financial stresses are some of the worst stresses anyone can ever go through. And, you know, so money is important. Now, I think it's the greed of money that turns evil, as opposed to just money. You know, money's the root of all evil. No, it's the greed of money, and it's the money over everything else that becomes the root of evil. It's not money itself. Because here's the thing, you know, I've often said, when you do something, would you do it for free? Not will you do it for free, would you? And if you would do whatever your passion is for free, that means you truly care about it. But will you do it for free? No, because even in logistics, I always said, I'm in it for profit, not practice, right? Like there's a difference. Do I get practice out of it every day when I make a profit? Sure. Do I get practice when the things don't go right? I hear a no, a meeting goes wrong, whatever. Yeah, sure, I do. Absolutely. But we're all in this for profit. Would we do it for free? Sure. Because I would sit here and I would do this show every morning for free. We're lucky. Absolutely. We have a guy like Daman who's sponsoring us. So we're not doing it necessarily for free. Is it going to take us for the rest of our lives to live? No, we have our jobs. We have our hustles. We have what we do. But even in freight, do I move freight from A to B for free? Have I done it for free? Sure. Would I do it for free because I love it? Absolutely. Do I do it for free? Hell no. I do it for a profit. Because I have a roof to put over my kids' heads. I got kids to put through school. I got a family to support and everything. So we don't do any of this for free.
We have to get rid of the whole So Dan Millman, I seen him on Lewis House an episode, and he talked about, they brought up money and money being evil. And I think Dan explained it perfectly. Money is just energy. And energy is just what gets us moving and gets things happening. And it opens more power. Power, money go hand in hand, but it just magnifies either if you got that money from being bad, well, you're going to be worse. The greed is just going to come out more as you get money. The more money you get, the greedier you're going to be.
Well, and if you're an asshole, the bigger asshole you get and everything. I mean, it's you're right. It's an amplifier. If you're a really good person and you generate a ton of money, that money is going to be put to a really good use to help other people. If you're a really
giving
bad person,
if you're a caring person, the more money you get,
and
it's freedom.
You don't have to go very far to see it.
Giving it the freedom all around.
Mm-hmm. You don't have to go far to see it. You know, the biggest arsehole walking into a hotel, like, you know, you didn't hold it, you know, like, I mean, oh God, we don't even go there. DJ, we are like pushing our 45 here.
I'll wrap it up with a final thought. So Tony Robbins, you know, $10,000 people pay to go to get a feeling. They get nothing tangible besides a packet. And they walk on coals. It's not magic. Their feet are fucking hot. They're miserable, but they're feeling so energized that they don't feel the heat because their adrenaline is so pumped up that their body temperature is regulated because their blood's flowing. It's a science. But nobody calls him full of shit. I mean, sure, plenty of people do, but the guy's doing fine. Like Tony Robbins has been around for a long time.
Oh, yeah.
And he just had a kid and he's 63. And he's
he just read that book. Speaking of him, that book, you got to get that book if you don't have that book. Life Force.
Yeah, it's fire. It's fire. But anyways, I could go on about the energy. And yes, you're right. It is energy. You pay someone for an experience. You don't pay for a tangible thing. I pay you for a feeling. That's it. And if you make me feel like shit, I'm mad. If you make me feel great, I don't even care if you give me something. I got the feeling I needed next, right? That's why people get into sex and prostitute. Like, it's a feeling, right? Do they really want to have sex with a stranger? Probably not. Like, that's a terrible idea. Like, that she or he has probably slept with a lot of people. But they want to feel something that they're not getting in real life, so they go pay whatever. I guess I don't know what the going rate is in prostitution, thank God, but they're going to go pay a bunch of money and they get a feeling. Do they regret it the next day? Oh, fuck. I bet they do. But they got the feeling in a small window of time that said, this is worth X amount of dollars because it makes me feel a certain way. That's why prostitution's a business. Because it's a feeling, and it's a bad.
That's why drugs is a business. It's why everything's a business. Because drugs
is
the feeling you get. Alcohol, it's the feeling you get. It's you know, I mean, even personal development. Let's call a spade. Personal development is a feeling. You know, it's why we talk about it all the time about shelf help. And it's, you know, I read the first chapter of this book and it made me feel so good, and then I put it on my shelf. Because I feel good now. I'm good. Yeah. I can do it. I can move on. Yeah. Everything is feeling. I've often said sales in general is a transfer of feeling. That's all it is. When you look at the core nucleus of any sale, it's a transfer of feeling. And I've said that for decades now. When we are selling Traffic Manager, we're selling a feeling. The feeling of put your feet up on your desk. Let me take care of it. For lack of a better term, right? Does it really happen like that? Do I expect every traffic manager I've ever dealt with to put their feet up on their desk? Hell no. But when they work with me, I want to give them that feeling. Sales is just a transfer of feelings. Everything we do in life, love is a transfer of feelings. You know, all of it. It's all just transfers of feelings. And those feelings are the nucleus of everything we do.
My wife said to me the weirdest thing. She goes, it's strange to think when people say, I love you, what they should say is, I love the way you make me feel.
Yes. I love that. Actually,
we gotta have your wife on.
When is the next? We're gonna have you both on next show. How about that?
She's a badass. But I was just like, wow, I feel offended, and then I was like, you're right. And in a marriage, you make each other feel a certain way, right? And when someone doesn't make you feel good, you fall out of love with that person.
Yes. But that's just the mentality of giving. Though that's leading with the giving and leading with service, I think. You know, once you're thinking of the other person and how you're making them feel, and forget how it makes you feel, I think that's, you know.
We're talking about
that's when you give without anything wanting anything in return, right? Like you just give. You know, you be fully present, you seize the window of opportunity, and you give.
That's right.
Well, so DJ, before we started, you said, I wonder if my intuition is going to be correct as to where this conversation's going.
Oh man, and this with the quote.
So before you say the quote, was it correct? Yeah.
I think so.
Okay, go for it. Let me hear.
Thank you so much, Steve, for joining us again, man.
Yeah, brother.
Congratulations on the exciting news. I know you're going to launch that next week officially. So congratulations again. Thank you for coming on and your feedback and just everybody out there with all the comments. Thank you guys. American Logistics, Centurion Trucking, and Daman. You've seen the comments. If you don't believe it, you believe it now. People over profits. Go to Daman. That's the place to go if you want to follow that rule. Thank you again for everybody. Monday through Friday, 9 a.m. till 9:30. Sometimes we're a little bit over this time, but
it was worth it, brother.
Join us to start your day right. Here we go. So it's I can't pronounce who it's from, so I don't want to screw up their name. But trust your heart and embrace the journey. You may make a wrong turn, but your heart will get you back on the right path. Just keep making choices and don't second guess yourself. What do you think?
That's a good one.
Not bad.
To the HPLS podcast. Live, relevant, and high performance information, conversations, and education.